the day, way before I got into Nerf, I was walking around the local game store and they had the Nerf Jolt sitting on a shelf, and I looked at it and I asked the dude behind the counter, hey, is it any good? And he had no idea, and they wanted like $8 for it, and that's like 2 or 3, you know, booster packs of Magic, which was Innistrad at the time, so it was kind of hard to rationalize that. But eventually I broke down and bought one, and I opened it up in the store and, you know, loaded a dart in, pulled the plunger on the original N-Strike Orange with the Whistler darts, and shot it, and it cleared the entire store. Something I'm not used to with, like, the Maverick and stuff like that. They just didn't really hit that hard, but the Jolt hit fairly hard. It was amazing. And that's where Nerf kind of hit me the hardest, as I instantly went home, and it was really easy to modify. 4 screws, pull it out, you know, put that in, bam, you got, you know, go down to Ace Hardware and find a better spring to put it into it, and oh no, it doesn't catch, I gotta try to make it catch, and it was just a ton of fun. I absolutely adored it. The Jolt is kind of everything to me when it comes to this hobby. And I realized years later, when my roommate kind of, you know, he stopped by and he said, hey, do you still collect Jolts? And I do. I just kind of slacked on it recently because, you know, I don't want to buy a $15 Target set to get 1 Jolt. I don't want to buy a $20, $25 set to get 4. I want them all, but it's getting kind of hard, and I still have never found a stinger, and I'm not going to pay 30 or 40 bucks for the dual target set and then the original starter set for Dart Tag. I'm missing kind of a few of them, but I have a lot of them, and there's a lot of Jolts out there. A lot! You got the original N-Strike Orange, you've got the Clue set, you've got the Elite variants, you've got all the Rebel ones, you got every blaster that barely even looks like a Jolt, but it's still a Jolt, and then you got big Jolts and small Jolts, and now finally, years later, in year 2016, 2017, we're getting the Zombie Strike Clamp It, which is a Jolt with an N-Strike Grail. It's finally happening! But it's still just a Jolt. And I figured, you know, he asked me, hey, do you still collect Jolts? And I said, yeah, and so he gave me this. A set I've wanted for a very long time. Never bought it though, because they wanted like 15, like even on sales, like 15 bucks. I couldn't rationalize that. I love the Jolt and I wanted all of them, but I was doing the channel. I needed that money for other stuff that people would actually want to see, but here we are, Tag Back, the show where almost every week, except for the 3 weeks I might have missed since I've started this entire endeavor, where we take a look at blasters from the past to see what they could offer us today in the present. And while they're still making Jolts, my entire story starts with the Jolt. So why don't we take a look at the Jolt today? I'm going to just talk about a couple of my favorites. And for those wondering, yes, I still have one of the Elite ones, and I even have one of the original N-Strike ones brand new in the package that I've never opened. Not that I can figure out where that unopened orange Jolt is at the moment. But the Jolt is really, really special, but when I say Jolt, we have to kind of clarify what I mean, because even things like this, which is what, the Pretty Parsley, I have no idea, but these are Jolts. You take off the dart holder, it is a Jolt. It's a little different shaped, but it's still a Jolt. Mechanically, it is identical to the original Jolts, and even knockoffs get really, really apparent with their, yeah, it's obviously a Jolt. This is the Super Blaster. I think I picked it up from, like, Toys R Us in the, like, dollar bin or something like that. There are a lot of Jolts. There are some cool looking Jolts too. Like, the Clue set came with 4 different Jolts. The idea is you've got Team Scarlet here. Look at how cool that is. For a Jolt, that's pretty darn good. I mean, yeah, I'll spend 20 bucks on one of these because they're kind of hard to come by, and I think they're even cheaper now. I don't know why I bought it when it was so expensive. Then you've got the, I don't even remember which one this is, coins. And all the priming rods and everything are completely different. Just beautiful. Then you've got probably my favorite one, because it's still in the patented Jolt holster, or Jolster. You've got this. This is the key one. I don't remember which one this is, but oh, is it pretty. Even the priming bar down there is a key. And then there's probably everybody else's favorite, which is of course the mustard one, which has got a really cool lion shield on it and a very, very comfy prime, and it actually has probably the best kind of trigger guard and everything on it. It just looks good. I can see why people like this. The grip isn't that comfortable because it kind of sticks out like that. It's kind of hard to get your fingers in there because it sticks out instead of recessing in, but it's still really cool, and it's a Jolt. You put a dart in it, you fire a dart, it goes like 40 or 50 feet, and you're happy. But the true magic of the Jolt is how small and versatile they are. Because these things are tiny. Absolutely tiny. And yet at the time, they got better performance than pretty much any other blaster out there. So if I go and grab one of these Dart Zone Super Darts and shove that in there, pull that back, they hit really hard, and that's stock. And at the time, that was a big deal because it's just an efficient design, and that's probably one of the reasons why they make so many of them, and that's why they have like the Rebel bow that just came out, which is like $25, and it's literally a Jolt with bow. Oh god, I can't believe that. But, you know, there are lines I can draw. But the Jolt is still around because it's just such an efficient design. They're cool, they're easy to sell. You have idiots like me that buy them constantly because they're awesome. What's not to love? Honestly, I know some people just don't like the Jolt, and I could never understand why. Because let's say you're just geared to the teeth. This whole platform right here, nobody's expecting this. When you use this in a war, nobody is expecting you to do anything. It's a little tiny Liberator pistol. You get a single shot. It's difficult to reload and prime. You can barely see it, which is very, very important. And it hits rather hard. There are some people like Rob from SBNC who just doesn't like these things. I don't know why. I think it's just cool to hate the Jolt. And yeah, the amount of reshells can get pretty crazy. I have the original line of these, and then there's more white ones with different designs on them, and then I have like 4 or 5 other ones of these that are unopened. These are kind of a better design. They're a little chunkier. They don't fit my Jolt holsters, but they just look good, and they have dart storage, which is something the Dart Tag Stinger had, but not quite as good as this. Plus they flip around so effortlessly. I really dig these. These are like, they don't really have a good name. They have like the Pretty Parsley, and that's all I really remember. I just wrote Pretty Parsley. And they come in every color with roses and all sorts of things on the design. They're still producing them. They're just cool. Little tiny Jolts. Dart holders on them a little bit better. Yeah, they're pink and girly, but that's never stopped me, so. These are awesome, but they get a little bit cooler from the Rebel line. Some of these Rebel Jolts can be pretty awesome looking. I mean, yeah, it doesn't have the dart holders, but the design on these ones are just incredible, and it works just like any other Jolt. It just feels a lot better in your hand. It's really small, streamlined. Keep in mind, the original N-Strike Jolt that came out, the orange kind, don't have any of this molding up here. It's just a flat barrel, and if you really wanted to, you could pop that off anyway and make it a little bit smaller, but they're still awesome. Very, very cool blasters. The newer ones are quite hard to modify. You have to like try to pull out a whole rivet pin on them. The older kind were screws, so you can just unscrew the plunger head, put on a new spring, and test stuff. These ones are a bit more difficult, unfortunately, but still really cool. And yeah, the Jolt holsters. Now, I have like 70 of these, and I've never really figured out a good way to like sell them or anything like that, but it's just an old phone case. I did a video on this a very long time ago, but it's, you know, it's cut up in a certain way that makes it so you could put a Jolt in there. It doesn't come out, doesn't shake out, doesn't do any of that kind of stuff, and yet it's really easy to draw, and it's pretty easy to get back in there. I've always wanted to modify these to have dart storage right here on the side, and the clips are unreasonably strong, so you can clip them pretty much anywhere, and they can rotate. It's just a really cool little thing I found, and I've got a lot of them, and I use them in every loadout. I have at least 2 of them. Really, really, really cool little holsters. I've never figured out what to do with them, though. I figured sometime I want to cut them up, and I want to try to clean up those edges, but I could never really figure out how, like some kind of glue or something to melt it, because it's all pleather and vinyl, or actually the inside of it's meant to protect a cell phone, so it's like a kind of a suede feel. It's like, they're really nice cases, but nobody uses flip phones anymore, so they weren't any good, and I have a lot of them. And this right here is the one I basically took with me everywhere. It went with me to work and everything like that, just so, because when I got bored or when somebody came in, I knew I could drop a Nerf dart on them. And that is the only time I've ever seen one of this color, although I guess they were really common at Target, although I never saw them, is this like Sonic Green Jolt. And I found it, one of them, at a Goodwill for like $4 and still bought it because I loved it. And there's still a couple of colors I need. There's there's like a blue, like the Sonic Blue, and then a Sonic White kind of color that just came out. It's like $7 on Amazon. There's also the orange kind. I don't have the orange one yet, the kind of clear orange, which is a bummer because it's a really cool one. And I never really liked the original, how it pulls down like that. It's fine because it's still in profile with the plunger, but I just didn't feel like that was very good. I always liked pulling it the other way. But again, since these things, you can actually kind of see it with this one. You kind of see that shiny metal disc there, and that's a rivet, so you have to really pry it to get it off. And you know, regardless, these things are really good. Their distance, like, they don't even move that much. And the whole, you know, locking mechanism is basically just a plastic leaf spring. So catching can be kind of an issue with upgraded springs, but the performance is still excellent. You can even see right there, it engages the air restrictor, which there's really no easy way to remove a drill and then kind of fish it out through the bottom, but works great. The Jolt is awesome, and you can just stash it anywhere. I love the Jolt. I obviously I love the Jolt. It's the Jolt, but I've got so many of them, and there are people that hate them, and I could just never figure out why. If for some reason you're watching this video and you're not into Nerf, which is kind of weird, but maybe you have a passing interest, maybe it's been a while, you haven't had them since you were a small tyke, and you're thinking you might want to play around with one. You can find Jolts everywhere. Most department stores will have them. Walmart probably has them. I know Toys R Us always has Jolts. They're anywhere from $3 to $6. Just pick one up. They're fun, and it will probably get you to see why people enjoy Nerf so much. The Jolt, from beginning to end, is probably my favorite blaster. Of course, something like my favorite blaster changes every day, but the Jolt really is me. It's everything that got me into Nerf. I absolutely adore the Jolt, and it has been everything important to me since I started this hobby. Before I even started the hobby, the Jolt was just the thing. I hope you've enjoyed this kind of rambly video on Tag Back, and don't worry, Tag Back is not going anywhere. It's just the formula has gotten kind of stale. I'm trying to work on things to get a little more exciting. Sometimes I have good ideas like the Hailfire video, other times I don't, and you get kind of the ones that have been recent, but I figured I'd take this time to talk about the Jolt, even though I wanted to save until I had all of the ones and I could do my proper video on every single Jolt. Doesn't look like that's going to happen, but I still wanted to talk about them because they are indeed just amazing blasters. There's going to be more Tag Back in the future, don't worry. So if you want to see some previous episodes, there's 2 videos right here. And then, of course, if you want to subscribe, you'll see Tag Back in every other video I do, as I've been doing videos pretty much every day or every other day. And that's the way things are going to be. And another little thing I'm going to be doing that you've probably already noticed is that I'm going to be putting the last, I'm going to say 5 comments from the last video that weren't terrible, and I'm going to show them at the bottom of the screen so people get some recognition because they weren't being total dipheads in the comments. Because that's happening a lot recently. So you want to get in on this, you want to see your comment in my videos, you know, average every video I put out gets 10,000 views on its first day, so that's a lot of people to see your comments, so why not stop being a diphead and just do a good comment? I'm Walcom S7, thank you so much for watching this video. And of course, I hope to see you in an entirely different one.